Hi everyone, this is AutoML and training community meeting on 14th of July. I will start with sharing my screen. Yeah, as always, to remind you, if you want to add something to the agenda, please feel free to add it here in our doc. Also, to remind you, we have all of our recordings on the YouTube channel already. So all of the past recordings are already there, and you can always find the link in the appropriate section that we discussed before. So I think let's start with our summit because it will be in 2 days, and I'm really excited about it. So first of all, just to let everybody here know that we will have it on 14th, actually on 16th of July. So, and it starts at around 10 a.m. UTC. So it will be like really early for folks from the US, and because a couple of sessions from the start, we'll start this session, which will be like for the Asia time zone. And we have a couple of presentations on training, a couple of presentations on Kubeflow pipelines with training and KDIP. So this summit will be until 7 p.m., I believe. Yeah, so it will be around 9 hours. So if you can always like join the summit at any time that you like can do it. You can use like this Zoom link. This will be always available. And as always, like you can add the calendar, this event to the calendar if you want to just add it. And also this is the timing that we have currently. So let me again post this link to our notes to make sure that everyone can join. Yeah. So just a couple of questions because like I really want to make sure that everyone, like all of the presenters are like will able to speak about their talk. So Kamanos, you're like your time, right? Because I haven't received the response from you. Okay.
All is good.
Sounds great. So it will be, I think, 1 hour session for KTPUI. It's around 1 p.m. UTC, right?
Yep.
Okay, sounds great. And I think Josh also here, so you also like can confirm that your session will be around 5 p.m. UTC, right?
Yeah, I keep doing the math on you're talking to me, Josh, right?
No, I didn't talk about Josh, but you can move forward.
Oh, Josh. Oh, I'm sorry, Josh, and I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, hey, yeah, I think that works for me and Wang. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I have already like asked T and Xiao, I believe. Do you have like a connection with them to make sure that we will have them at this time, or it's better to ask Gauchi about it?
Yeah, I think to contact them, we can double confirm with them. Yeah.
Okay.
At least I think probably leave the phone number or email just in case.
Yeah, sure. Sounds great. So, Josh, you can move forward. So what do you want to ask? Josh, if you're speaking, you're on mute. Yeah.
Sorry. I just want to confirm that I did the, I keep doing the UTC to Central Standard Time or Pacific Time correctly. I think I've done that correctly, but so I think it's on 11 o'clock CST time or 9 o'clock PST. The only thing that I have a concern about on the user's journey or the user session is that, as we mentioned, not many of the users have a lot of hands-on with KTIB or the distributed training operators. They have some with Kubeflow.
Okay.
So we're not going to get that like deep experienced comments. So anyway, I just want to give that to your attention.
Yeah, I mean, it's totally fine because like we can see what is the trade-offs of the current training operators in KDIP we do have. And like we can just maybe take a look in their use cases and try to integrate this in upstream. I think it will be very valuable for us in any case. It will be great if they can speak about training part and hyperparameter tuning or like any other AutoML technologies that they're using in production. So I was assuming that they will speak about that, but in any case, I think it will be available for us to just have an interaction with the customers, right?
I agree so that's all
Yeah.
I think we're gonna do as well as we can do.
And like the question, so how does it look like? So actually we will have like a live conversation with them. We can just feel free to ask them questions or feel free to ask about their journey in Kubeflow.
Yeah, so if you haven't seen, we do have like 10 questions that we've set up and we sent to them. You know, what are your use cases? How are you using the training operators? How are you using CATIB? What, you know, what enhancements, what operational issues, those type of things are the kind of the layer of the questions for both sets. And, you know, being that we're talking about two different things, it may get confusing about bouncing back and forth. Maybe it doesn't. You know, 1 minute we're talking about CATIB, maybe we're talking about AutoML, and then we're going back for the training They're kind of interrelated in a lot of ways, but you appreciate, you know, two different topics.
Yeah, definitely. And currently we have 3 or 4 users to ask these questions.
Yeah, we have 4. We have, if you're familiar with the European Biometric Institute, so they're very large. We've got David, who's been doing a lot. We've got Leonard from Volvo, and then 2 other kind of machine learning engineers that have had, you know, 5 or 6 years experience in the space, and probably a year or so with or less with Kubeflow.
Okay, sounds great. Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense. And again, this can be like an interactive session, because like to move forward, I really want to have a couple of discussions about Q&A session. So we have our project updates and Q&A session. It's around 3 p.m. So it's like early for Pacific time, around I think 8. The question is here. So what do we want to actually deliver? We want to first of all speak about like our project updates from training and for CATIB. And in the meantime, after this, we really want to ask some questions to the users regarding to maybe documentation side or maybe what is not clear. And the question is here, we prepared just 5 questions. So these questions is just about the documentation side and understanding the CATIB. So the point is here, how we can ask these questions in the summit directly. And will it be fine if we just go forward and ask this documentation side of the questions to the users? What do you think? Because this is more about how we should explain our features and how to make it easier for the Kubeflow users.
I think people are cautious of speaking in front of a crowd. I think that they're also cautious because a lot of times they are under NDA, or, you know, if they're an end user. So you just need to be prepared if you don't get a response, that you have somebody there to kind of salt the pot or whatever, or to kind of get the conversation going.
Any hints how we can do it? Because I don't know. Maybe we can try to first of all like ask the users questions in the chat, because I know like some people just don't want to speak, and maybe they can just put their questions in the chat. Because our actually first thought was, when we start the session at 3 p.m. The people can just write the questions in the chat, and in the meantime, while we're actually explaining our project updates, when we just start speaking about Q&A, we can start answering these questions to the chat and then move forward to the questions that we prepared here. Does it look good?
I think, you know, having some questions that you have put is good, that, you know, look like they come from end users. Having an end user ready to provide a response, getting somebody who is either a contributor and a user.
Yeah, this also can be a concern. So maybe some of them like never try to use CATIB at all, or don't really know what does the feature look like. But again, I think we can maybe try to. Any other like thoughts how we can make this Q&A session more friendly and get like more responses from the users. Do anyone else have any thoughts on that? Yeah, okay. Josh, you want to speak? Or just does it look good to you with the interaction with the user?
Yeah, I think that way sounds great. So yeah, in my company, we usually do similar ways, and during the talk, people just fill the forms, and
Okay.
yeah, and at the end, just pick up the questions from the doc. Yeah.
Yeah, because we also thought that we can, with Jonah, we can like prepare the survey, but I don't think like 2 days is enough time to actually ask these questions. But I mean, in any case, if we do not have a response on any sort of these questions, that definitely should be fine. We can at least answer the questions in the chat because it can be like from the training side. By the way, do you want to prepare some questions from the training perspective? Because this is like mostly on the KDIP side. I don't know. What do we want to ask? Not about the user panel, but more about like from the what is not clear or which features they not understand.
Jono, do you have any questions in mind?
I think it's a very similar set of questions for both. Probably like, do we need extra examples or the documentation if it is good enough? So one question that people generally ask is, I think, yeah, I have put that in one of the GitHub issues. So for example, like I think you are covering that in your talk too. Say, for example, in the training operators, what would be the right set of what is the right operator that we have to use, given when is the right time to use distributed operator? Does it really make sense? So because, for example, certain users complain that they are not getting good performance when they are actually using TF, like the distributed operator, when compared to the single node operator, a single node execution. So people are just randomly trying it out without understanding how that actually works. Probably it might be because of the network, etc. So I think like if you are covering that in your talk, I think that is good enough. But again, maybe that kind of information, talking about what operator works best in what scenario, right? Like that, that will be like a good thing for the community.
I see. Yeah, I will try to cover some of the like the points you just talked in the talk. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's a great point, and we definitely should discuss about it in your session with the Kubeflow Universal Training.
Yeah, I think Justin has added a good number of slides there, so it is pretty interesting. So maybe like we'll add one extra slide to discuss this particular thing in focus. Probably like why, when is this better than the other? When is single node execution better than the distributed operator, etc. Right? So that will be like a good thing for the users. Yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Yep, sounds great. So do you have any other questions regarding the summits? We're ready to go. Yeah, because I hope like everything will be fine with the recording, and with the Zoom, I think it should be straightforward. Okay, sounds great. So I'm still like waiting for the response from Tia as we discussed with Josh, but I think Gaucho will actually ask them, because from others I already like got a response, so they will be able to actually attend their sessions. So I think it should be fine. Yeah, and again, I think it's better to share the slides after the summit, so people can just watch the recording, and in the meantime, they can just see the slides to have all of the necessary link that we put there. Does it sound good to you? Okay. Yeah, let's move forward. So yeah, speaking about like testing infrastructure, so yeah, do you want to give any updates we can move forward with our questions.
Hi, Andre. So this is Yao. So in terms of the testing infrastructure, I think so far it's been running in Kubeflow community for a while and it's working fine at this point. So I think the main point here is more like word functionality that Khatib and the training working group want to support. Does it looks same to the other working group as we can see, and getting started from there, we can make sure what's the right approach to move forward.
Yeah, so because our point was that we definitely should refactoring our testing infrastructure for training and for Khatib. We're still using QSONet, and we discussed about maybe we can use just in Python script to generate Argo workflow, because at this time we actually are not planning to speak about like training and AutoML. We're not planning to migrating to Tekton or to any other sort of the framework that can use they can run our workflows. So maybe at least we can try to use Python scripts to be able to generate this Argo workflow. So the question is here, what like steps we need to follow to just refactoring how the current workflow is running? Because currently I think we're just creating this Argo workflow here, right?
Yeah. So basically, I think the desired status that training and AutoML working group want to achieve is we use something like maybe some like script to generate the bash to generate the Argo workflow, but currently we are using QSONet. So I think there's a similar example that I can bring up is notebooks working group Kimonos have done a similar one to migrate from QSONet to what we want right now, and I can bring that up like after this meeting because that's too detailed, and I can also like give some instructions about how the current repo organization looks like and what things do we need to move forward, etc. Yeah, Kimonos, do you want to give some input at this point? Yeah, some of the examples, some of the lessons that you've learned through migrating.
Sure, Andre. The folder you're looking for is it's not in the testing directory.
Oh, okay.
It's in the py/CI Kubeflow CI/CD.
I see. Thank you.
Oh,
so this one, right?
Yep. So it's just we have as Yao mentioned, we generate the Argo workflow instead of QSONet with Python. So we have different workflows depending on what parts of the rep, what files were triggered. So if a file was changed in the web apps, then we created a different workflow. So for each workflow, we have a Python script that extends a base class for generating an Argo workflow, and this script creates the Argo workflow, and then it's the same thing from there. From whether you had QSONet, it just takes Argo workflow and does all of its magic.
And what is the output of this script eventually? Is it just a simple Argo YAML that we are passing to this worker image? I mean, I'm talking about this one.
Correct. Either a YAML or a JSON. I don't remember if it was a Python dictionary or a string YAML, but yeah, one of the two.
And this worker, okay. And this is just an input, and then we have just this similar script inside Kubeflow/testing repo, which is procedure this, which is actually around this Argo workflow, right?
Can you repeat that? I didn't quite get.
Yeah, I mean, like, because I'm speaking about like this testing image. So what is the purpose of this worker image? Can we have, so the output should be the JSON Argo workflow, right? And then this inside the testing repo, we're actually creating the Argo workflow because they have like separate scripts too. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I feel like we so think about we are just using something like Argo client to generate those Argo workflow object, and it will be like consumed by Kubernetes. Like we will send it out to the Kubernetes API server, and that's the way how it works. There's no real YAML file being generated. It's just like some Kubernetes object. Yeah.
Okay, I see. So then I just was thinking what can be used, what is the share code we can use, but I think, so eventually we just constructing the Argo workflow and we just passing the scripts as similar to, because here we, yeah, we have our, yeah, where is it? 1 second. Yeah, we have our like run E2E experiment scripts, which we run. So we can, I think we can follow the same way, right? Because this is just
the same structure.
This is just a step of Argo workflow, and it doesn't matter which tool we're using to generate this, like the whole Argo workflow, right? Okay.
Right.
Okay, sounds good. So do you think, Jono, it will work for us, like for KDIP and training operators?
Yeah, I don't think there is any problem with that, right? What can be the problem there?
I just want to make it as easier as possible, because for training we need to design the new testing infra for the new training operator that we created. So I just want to speak how we can make it easier to migrate.
Yeah. So yeah, like I don't have any special thoughts on that, but again, whichever, if other repositories are using the common part, I think we can take it out, right? I think we can still reuse that.
Okay. Yeah. So Kamenos, this is like the major script that you run to generate the Argo workflow, right?
Yes, this is the base script where every other script will use that class that we defined there to define the graph.
Yeah, okay, I will
and
try.
Take a look. Oh yeah, if you go just for a sec back, you'll see that even for our base code, at line 6, we also import the base common code for generating the Argo workflow is from the testing repo.
Yeah,
so
Argo build
the code from there.
And dictionaries. Okay. Do we actually need it? Oh, it's 4 Pro, right? I see. Okay. Yeah, it's still using, right? So we're still using these labels for the Pro cluster.
Yes. Yeah, I think so.
Okay, I will take a look to see how we can use it for KDIP. Yeah, because the question is like the workflow for training operators and for KDIP is kind of similar. But for now, I don't think we should try to spend time to make the share code for us, right? Because in any case, this can be different in the future, the workflow. But okay, let's just try to use this Python script. Yeah, and speaking, by the way, about the public images, so we still for some training operators and for KDIP, we're still using Docker Hub. Do you have any steps how we can use the public ECR to push the images?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I've written some documentations in Kubeflow testing repo and put in there. I might be able to find that one. Yeah, testing. Should we under AWS images?
Yeah, it's here, right?
Maybe
Okay.
AWS. Maybe AWS. Yeah.
Okay.
And can you scroll down a little bit? Let me see. Setting up. Give me a second. Yeah, let me find it.
While Yao searches for this, just a comment from me as well. I remember I can also post. I'll search for the issue where we were also discussing this back in the past when we were migrating. From my point of view, what was needed was just to provide Yao with some images, and that was mostly it. I think it wouldn't require other steps, but let me find also an issue and link to it.
Yeah, basically that's how it works. But yeah, I remember I said I write a doc for those things. Yeah.
I remember about ECR resources, but this is for the private repo, I believe. Yeah. So this is still using, right? This one, ECR private registry list.
Yeah, it's still using it. Yeah, and but we've already had the public ECR support as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, no problem. Let me find it. I'll copy and paste to the documentation. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would be great. So, because the question is, so Jonah, do we want to support ECR public registries for our images, or what do you think?
Yeah, whichever is easy, right? I think once we have, I think we have to talk with Jashin to see that what is a plan for all in one. So I think we will follow exactly same stuff, right? Because I think if we keep it consistent, I think it will be easier. That's what I feel.
Okay, sounds good. So yeah, let me actually put it here.
We can even, that's the same case with the testing infra also, because I think in the longer term, that way we'll have more contributors and it will be easy to debug both, right? So let's try to, at least between training and AutoML, let's try to keep the infra part as common as possible.
Yeah, but do we want to share resources right now for the testing infra? I'm talking about like Python scripts, because some of them are similar, some of them are different.
Yeah, now it's it's extra work now. I think I would say like we can wait a bit and then figure out how this turns out, right? And from there, like we can decide.
Okay.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think it sounds good. Because again, I really hope that the release part for training and AutoML at least will be similar. How we can,
exactly.
Because for training we still don't have releases at all, and we don't have the release scripts.
Right.
Yeah.
So that way, if we can bring that infra part together, then that way it will be easier for contributors and developers in the future, because like it is both ways it is similar, right? And we could even think about getting, if there are common things, we could even try to move that to a different repository or something. Like we can think about it later, but at least process wise we can try to make it seem.
Okay. Yeah, so I think first step, let's just at least reuse Python script to remove KSONet. And I think we can start with KDIP because for KDIP we will not actually creating the new repo, right? And then we can think about like the public ECR and release process, how we can automate it. Because maybe for the release, we don't really need the Perl cluster as we discussed before. Maybe we can use the GitHub Actions. So Yao, so you will actually post the link, right, for the public ECR images?
Yeah,
after.
yeah. Yeah, once I find
Okay.
it.
Yeah, thank you so much. So do you want to discuss anything else regarding to the testing info or any updates to the community that you want to share?
Not really, I think. Yeah. So so basically our current main point is like helping working group to successfully migrate from Cassandra to Python generated Argo workflow. So we will be helping, like working with AutoML and the training working group to see how we can move forward. So that's the thing. Yeah. Apart from that, I don't think there's a big issue. Yeah.
Yeah, sounds good, because I think it will be very important for the whole working groups, which are using like AWS infrastructure, which is manifest also and keep serving. But okay, we'll see. So
can I make two questions?
Yeah,
sorry.
Sure.
Just
sure,
before we leave. Yeah, one question. I remember that from key observing there was some progress effort about using Tekton. Is there any update there? Are they actually is anyone using Tekton instead of Argo, or is it still in beta mode? I don't know.
Yeah, good question. So to answer that, I talked with some of the like working group folks. The point here is that there's no great reason for stopping using Argo workflow for Tekton pipeline. So in terms of that, we kind of like waiting for more inputs on why we need to start using Tekton in this perspective. Because when we start to support Tekton, that might means another migration process need to be triggered on each working group that and I feel like working group folks are not 100% sure if they can put more efforts on those things.
Yeah. Agree 100%. And one final question. This is mostly, I was curious because this goes back to the discussion about having ECR or Docker Hub. For notebooks, currently we only have ECR, but we'd like to also to push our images both to Docker Hub and ECR, because I think there's no reason to not push to both registries. So my main question for Kadib is, how do you actually manage the credentials right now for pushing the images? I guess they're part of the Argo workflow that runs is also building the images, right? How do you build the image?
Yeah, unfortunately, currently we manually push it because we don't have admin permission. But I think like if we want to make it automatically, we can ask Jan or anyone from Google to give us like temporary admin permission on the repository, and we will update the credentials and the settings in the GitHub settings, repo settings. Yeah, because currently, let me show you. So currently we have this script called release. In this release script, we manually just pushing the images to the registry. So anyone with permission on our Docker Hub, we're using Kubeflow Kdip Docker Hub, should just be able to run the script. And this script will automatically create the branch, build all of the images, also publish the new SDK version, and create the new tag. Yeah.
So you or Jochnu have access to this Docker Hub, and you periodically run locally this script.
Yes, when we need to make the new release, we manually run the script kind of currently.
Okay. Oh, I'm mostly interested because if in the future for us that would like to have this happen in the CI/CD, then there's the matter of who's going to have the credentials, because the workflow will need to have the credentials.
Yeah,
I guess
okay.
the answer is that it's going to be the same thing. Yao or someone from AWS will need to have access to this Docker Hub and have the credentials and inject them to the workflow.
Yeah, that is actually why I said before, it will be easier to maybe just use GitHub Actions to make the releases, not the pro cluster and not the the Argo workflow. Yeah, go ahead, Yao.
Yeah, I agree with that. And especially in terms of let's not get into the track of like Google and AWS, because the Docker Hub repository, I think, is now is created by maintained by Google folks. So I think if we want those folks to give us credentials and put it into AWS sponsored Pro cluster, they might have a problem with those things. So yeah. But if like working group themselves create their own repository, Docker Hub repository, that's not a problem.
Yeah, because from our side, I think we're using this one. So this is the manually created by the community. So only me and Jono and I think this guy from IBM has the access on this repo. But okay, I don't know. But speaking about the release, it's like more complicated problem, and I don't think we have enough time to discuss about it right now. Because like first of all, I think we need to maybe at least switching to the Python scripts, and then speak about the release. Because again, I really try to push forward to have the same release process for each working group, and at least for training and AutoML, we will try to follow the same pattern with branches and with tags, and with updating the images on the particular branch. Because Yanis just recommended this way, and I think it's Istio and other projects are following the same way. But I don't know if this will be possible for every project that Kubeflow has.
I think it's the ideal case if we can move forward. But in terms of Kubeflow, is a really large community. Each working group have their own style of deploying and releasing. So I'm not sure if we can get to that stage at the end of today.
Yeah, that's true. This is the bigger question. But we'll see. I think at least like the automation process can be done again using the GitHub Actions or using the script, but just try to automate it. Yeah. Only the question is again, I think it will be also possible to pushing to the ECR, providing the credentials, and pushing in the meantime to Docker Hub as you want commands for the notebook working group. I think it definitely will be possible.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other comments from anyone else? Like John, does it sound good to you? What we're trying to make?
Sounds good. Yeah.
Okay, great. So yeah, and the last thing that about the metrics collector, just a quick comment, because this is the common issue. So the problem is here, to make everyone aware, that in KDIP currently sometimes in a very rare case, but as you know, like metrics collector is a sidecar from your training container, and our controller are actually mutate this pod to the training container, to the training pod. And this metric collector are actually just monitoring the processing inside your container, and wait until all of the processes will be finished. So the problem is here that for sometimes, yeah, let me actually try to open this code. So eventually we try to get all of the processes from the container, and then we try to get we're using like some util to get all of these processes, but eventually the process is failing on this step when we try to create the process object from the PID, which we eventually receiving from this part of the script. So the problem is that this guy is facing as well. When we receive the processes here, and when we try to create the process object here, this function is failing. This can happening in many cases, and this again, as I said before, this is happening not all the time, but for sometimes when we receive the PID for the process here, when we reach the script this step, this process can be not longer exist. does it make sense? I know it sounds not really easy, but I mean, overall, sometimes it can fail. And if it fails, the controller will try to recreate the training process again and just try to run the training job again. So I don't know, do we want to actually fix this kind of problem? Do we want to integrate this part of the script? What do you think?
But as he suggested, I think, do we really need to give error there? I think it should be fine, right?
I think so, because again, as I point in the issue, as long as we get the main PID, which is the main process, we're ready to go. Because in the normal case, here, so this is the part of the metrics collector. So in the normal case here, we're not waiting until all of the process are finished. We're waiting only until the main process is finished, and we don't care about all other process which can happening, like maybe some proxy processes or any other, like some other sidecars. So in that case, if the main process is finished, we just simply exit the script. Yeah, so I think we can try to follow the way that this guy proposed.
Right. Yeah.
May I make a question?
Yeah, sure.
By main process, you mean the one with PID 1?
The main process, which is not always PID 1, because for some cases, the training process that are running can be not with PID 1, because it can be, imagine if you have like just another proxy level, the proxy can start first of all, and then it can start the training process. So eventually here, we're trying to extract the process with particular comments on inside. So this is kind of tricky way of doing this, because like, again, like it's extremely hard to know which kind of process are like the main that we need to monitor in the metrics collector. Yeah, so at least for now, this was working fine. We don't have many problems with this kind of extracting the main PID. Yeah.
And a last one, just out of curiosity,
Yeah,
so that I understand what the issue was.
Sure.
If I understand correctly, the problem you mentioned was a race condition, because you initially get all the PIDs, but then once you get the code gets to the loop, some of the PIDs just might not exist anymore.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. It might be because of this util package and how do they extracting the processing, or maybe that my just first thought was because the process just finished until we reach this part of the script. So this part return all of the PIDs, which can be finished until we reach this part. Yeah.
So it's not like it returns an error; it completely crashes at that point, right?
Yeah, in that case, we cannot create the process from this PID, and it will crash the metrics collector container, and it will crash the training job. Yeah, and the controller will recreate the job again. But yeah, go ahead.
Would it make sense to just then? I don't know. Just a question. I check if the PID is valid before going to line 68.
Yeah, just you mean like if the PID exists, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we can exactly. These guys proposed to do this one. So if the PID is not like, if this actual new process return error, we just simply continue to proceed to procedure other PIDs.
Okay.
Yeah, so the same way. So if this cannot be, yeah, again, we can try to maybe see if this PID is valid. I think this definitely should also be possible. Yeah, because we need to see what is the error, because I think we need to see what is the error returning here. If the error is because of the PID does not exist, we just simply continue, as you said. But if there are like any other errors that can also be done, I don't know, regarding to this library, we can simply exit the metrics collector skip and just return the error. Yeah, I think, yeah, that actually makes sense.
It's also pretty tricky to reproduce this.
What do you mean?
To reproduce the error, what the user describes.
Yeah.
It's gonna require a lot of time and error.
Yeah, exactly. This is like kind of hard to see all of the time because I don't know which other processes is happening under the container, and we don't really we can't say that all of the processing will be the same for the whole time, because it can be some other internal processes which this part of the scripts are returning. So yeah, but at least, as you said, which is like a good point, at least we can see what is the error returning this script when the PID is not exist, and we can just simply like skip this part of the just not returning the error if the PID is not exist. Yeah. Yeah. So does it sound good to you as well, John? So we just can verifying this error here.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Let me actually put it. Yeah, again, because this implementation, not really, I mean, this really tricky implementation. And for some cases, we really need to work on the push-based metrics, which will not use this pull-based metrics collector. Because for some cases, this will be not possible to use if you're if you have a lot of the processes on your training code, or maybe a lot of different complicated, like for example, distributed training, because I was able to actually testing this on distributed training, and in distributed training, they created not only one process to run like the training, right? So they created different threads, and it's not always, we cannot guarantee that we don't really know, do we want to wait until all of the process will be finished and then collect the metrics, or we just want to wait until some of them will be finished? Yeah, but this is another question, how to run it. And is it like the best way of the implementation? I don't know. But okay, for now, at least, yeah, this is working. Okay, any other questions regarding to AutoML that we want to discuss? Okay, sounds good. Just the last comment from my side. I really want to, if you have time, please take a look at this PR. So because our KDP Python SDK cannot work with Kubernetes 12.0, which is eventually Kubernetes client, Python client. And we have to migrate to the new OpenAPI generator from the Swagger. If you have time, please take a look. I just updated the KDP SDK to be able to work with the new Kubernetes, and because currently we're not compatible with KFP Tekton package, which is using the latest version of Kubernetes client. Yeah, so please take a look on this one. Okay, do you have any other questions, comments, maybe training that we will want to discuss, or ready to go? Okay, sounds good then. I hope that in Friday everything will go smoothly. Yeah, and again, if you have any comments or suggestion how we can improve our roadmaps or maybe projects updates, please let me know, maybe like in today or tomorrow. And I hope we'll have a good conversation on this Friday. Yeah. So thank you everyone, guys, for joining, and thank you for spending your time. So speak to you on Friday. Yeah, hope to see you soon. Yeah, bye guys.
Good job, Andre.
Thank you, Josh.